Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2024 release, Your Monster, and I'm going to let people know right now this is mainly a romance comedy with a little bit of horror thrown in there. If you've seen the film Lisa Frankenstein actually goes a lot more at the horror than this film does, but they have a very similar feel to it. If you liked Lisa Frankenstein, I think you'll actually like this one maybe a little bit more. I actually think that this film is better than Lisa Frankenstein, in my opinion. Not conceptually. I think concept wise and looks wise, I liked Lisa Frankenstein the most. But as far as the actual overall story execution and how things come together, I like Your Monster the most. So overall, I think Your Monster is a better film than Lisa Frankenstein. But if you liked Lisa Frankenstein and you want to check this film out, go ahead and do a double feature. You may really enjoy it. So this one's written and directed by Caroline Lindy. This is the individual's first feature film, which is great. For a first feature film, this is pretty stupendous. I will be honest. That's one thing I always keep in mind when I'm presenting these. Like, is this a seasoned writer director? Is this someone who has a ton of experience and so they should be at a very high level at this point? With this individual, first feature film, anytime I see that first feature film, and a product like this comes out, I'm very impressed with that. It's a outstanding starting point, and it means the sky's the limit for people like this. This film has Melissa Barrera in it. I'm hot and cold on Melissa Barrera. For the most part, I think she does a good job in this film. There are a few scenes where she goes a little bit too over the top. She gets a little bit ridiculous with the role, but that also may have been asked for. I definitely like this performance of hers a lot more than her performance in Abigail. I actually thought that was a very weak performance. So this one's significantly stronger. So I liked her a lot more in this. Also, Tommy Dewey is in this, and he plays the titular monster. He's great. He does a phenomenal job. He hasn't really been in a whole lot that people would know, just a bunch of TV shows for the most part, and some very lesser known films. But this individual needs to get a lot more bigger roles, in my opinion. I rented this through Fandango at home for $7.41. That is including tax, so pretty cheap. Cheaper than going to the theater to see it. Quick synopsis on this one. It is, I'm just going to tell you up front, you're going to pick it up immediately with this film. It is a newer rendition of Beauty and the Beast, but it has its own ideas behind why it goes with that type of story. So in one way, you're going to be like, this feels so familiar. This feels so old and overused. And yes, I kind of wish it was a bit more original, but there is an original aspect to it in what they're trying to tell you with the main character throughout this. And I think that it's kind of powerful and it can be very cathartic, and I think it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. The beginning sequence of this film is tough from an emotional standpoint, but they put very upbeat music over all the things that are going on, so you don't necessarily actually feel like it's hitting you super emotionally, which points to how important scores are for films. The music you use can lead people a lot, and this is one of those great examples of there's one thing that should be very emotionally wrecking going on the screen, but the music is making you feel more light and upbeat about it, and these things are conflicting and you feel kind of confused about it, but overall what's leading you the most is that music. So it's well done. It's well done to make those things conflicting, in my opinion. And it does a really good job of setting it up to be like, this is a comedy, but there's also going to be some emotional stuff wrapped into this. So just know what you're getting into. They do have times where it gets effectively emotional. I did like how they chose to employ emotion in here. And a lot of that comes from the characters are pretty well written. The dialogue is very well written. Very impressed with how the dialogue is done with this film, and that obviously goes to really good writing on the script. And I think the acting performances, I think the cast had really good chemistry as well, especially Melissa Barrera and Tommy Dewey. I think they had great chemistry, and that was very important for this film to like make it play the right way. You actually, sorry, one of those days. They actually got some chuckles out of me, which typically when I'm watching films that are supposed to be comedic and I'm by myself, which is how I watched this film. Although my wife, I think, would really enjoy this, so I might have her watch it with me later. But I typically don't actually like chuckle or laugh out loud. It's just all in here. I'll just be like, oh, that's kind of interesting, amusing, funny, whatever. But I actually chuckled a little bit out loud. There is some legitimately good comedy, especially in the beginning portion. And I think Melissa Barrero's performance in the beginning of this in particular, I liked a lot. I found a lot of joy in that performance, and that's where a lot of the comedy ended up coming from that really hit with me. So good job on that. Again, great dialogue. Musical numbers. There are some musical numbers in this film. One of the reasons for that being that the main character and her ex-boyfriend had been working on a musical that he was writing, and she had been helping him a lot with it. And I guess I didn't like fully do a synopsis, but Melissa Barrera's character, the beauty portion of this, she actually is going through cancer treatment, and it's during this cancer treatment that her boyfriend breaks up with her because he's like, this is a lot. You know, I can't handle this anymore, and he needs to focus on trying to open this Broadway musical that he's been working on with her. And then it's about her being abandoned, basically, at the worst time of her life. And then a monster shows up, and it goes from there. I don't want to go past that, but there are musical numbers because there is a musical involved with it. And the musical numbers are well composed. I really enjoyed them. They have a good beat to them. They're very memorable, catchy tunes. So I really did enjoy that aspect of it. Some of the scenes, unfortunately, do go too over the top with this film. There are moments where they have to go a little bit big with the emotion, but I think they just went too far with it. And instead of just feeling like a big emotional kind of release in those scenes like it's supposed to feel, it goes to the ridiculous, and it becomes kind of over the top and just too much and laughable, in my opinion, with how far over the top they go with those performances. So I think it should have been a lot more restrained in those moments. It's one of those things where the director needs to be very cognizant of how hard are we going? Are we going too hard in this scene? And is it matching the tone of the rest of this movie? So yeah, but minor. No, there weren't a ton of scenes like that. Unfortunately, this film is very predictable. Very, very, very predictable. There's even something that's supposed to be, oh my gosh, this big surprise that I figured out like within the first 5 minutes, maybe not even that. And it's very obvious. So predictability is something that kind of, brings my ratings down, just because I want something a little more. I want something a little more engaging and rich. And when I can just kind of turn my brain off with the story to a degree, I don't like that. I want to be a little bit more engaged. I want something a little more new and unique. And I also want something that's, at least if it's not new and unique, you just throw me some scenes that are very unexpected. And this film just did not have that at all. The ending is pretty good, though. I really did like the ending. I like how everything really comes together, and the kind of emotion that you get out of that ending, I think, is very satisfying for the film, for the moviegoer. Clearly a take on Beauty and the Beast. Like I said, this is one of those movies that people can watch and feel very good catharsis from. I could really, really see that. It is kind of a bit of an empowering type film. And this film does a good job of capturing the feeling of going through struggles in life and feeling like the world is very callous when you're going through those struggles. I personally connect with that aspect of the film because I've been through stuff like that before. I have severe anxiety and at times depression issues, and I've been through some really bad times. And at those moments is when you feel the most alone. Even if there are people around you, everything feels so callous, like nobody cares, like you're going through it by yourself. And I think this film does a really good job of capturing those types of feelings, because I know a lot of people have been through that stuff. I would probably say the majority of people, the overwhelming majority of people, have been through those times in their life. And it sucks. And yeah, I mean, get on my soapbox slightly, I think as a society, we need to be a little bit better about just being there for each other, recognizing when someone's going through this stuff and just kind of being more open to talking and just being there and helping out and all that jazz. Off the soapbox. But anyway, yeah, so out of 5 stars, half stars, and play, I'm going to give this a very solid 3.5-star rating. I did quite like it. But would love to hear your opinions on it. Go ahead and put it down in the comments, especially if you disagreed with me. I always like hearing differing opinions on these films because maybe I missed something. Maybe something that you bring to me in the comments can kind of change some context for the film. That's happened many times with reviews that I put out because these are all done after my initial viewing of a film. And then other people's points of view actually factor into me changing my opinion on some stuff. But please do me a favor and hit subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to pitch in monetarily, there are memberships for my channel. You do get some things for that with the channel. Go ahead and put it in the comments. Thumbs up on the video would be awesome to help me with that YouTube algorithm. And you can hit the notification bell button if you want to know when I'm putting up new videos. But regardless, thank you very much for taking your time to watch this. Until next time, keep it brutal.